Welcome to The Growth Spurt, a weekly AI podcast by the Second Baptist Church of Ann Arbor.
Hello. Yes, today we're doing a deep dive, taking a closer look at the sermon, Tell the Truth.
That's the one by Dr. Stephen J. Daniels, Sr.
Exactly. It's part of his ongoing series on, difficult conversations.
Right. We've already looked at agree to disagree and boundaries. Where is the line in this series?
Mm-hmm. They kind of set the stage.
Yeah, and this one, Tell the Truth, it really zeroes in on a tough idea, doesn't it?
It does. The core message is that telling the truth, it isn't always convenient. Sometimes it's not even kind, really.
But it's always necessary. That's the kicker.
That's the central argument, yes. Necessary even when it costs you comfort.
So to get us thinking about this, Dr. Daniels starts with something really contemporary, actually, the job market.
Ah, yes. The modern job hunt, a place where truth can feel risky.
Definitely. He talks about how frustrating it is now, especially with AI systems involved.
Oh, the resume screening. Right. Looking for keywords.
Exactly. And these systems, they can screen out really good people, people who are totally qualified.
Because they don't tick the exact right digital boxes, the nuance gets lost.
It's like the human element disappears in the algorithm.
Yeah, it makes the whole process feel kind of impersonal and, frankly, often ineffective.
And the source material shared this story. Someone sent out 500 resumes in a year.
500, wow.
To no avail. Just silence. Imagine that.
That's incredibly disheartening.
But the main anecdote, the one that really kicks off the sermon, involves his friend, Derek Gilliam.
Okay.
So Derek was super diligent, sent out 142 resumes between February and June 2025.
Keeping track and everything.
Yeah, and he finally gets a call back, but
Yeah.
it's not quite what he hoped for.
Let me guess. The overqualified issue.
You got it. The recruiter basically saw his experience and asked, "Why are you applying for this position?"
Oof. That's a tough question to navigate. What did he say?
Well, this is where the sermon's theme hits home. He didn't sugarcoat it. He just said, "I've been unemployed for 4 months, and I'm not trying to make it 5.
Wow. Just straight up honesty.
Total directness. And the interesting thing, the recruiter apparently really appreciated it.
Really? Like the honesty?
Yeah, the honesty and directness. It led to an interview, and he actually got the job.
Okay, so in that case, truthfulness paid off pretty quickly.
It did. But I think the sermon uses this to ask a bigger question, right?
Exactly. Why do we even consider that kind of directness brave?
Because we expect a negative reaction, I guess.
Precisely. Derek's story had a good outcome. But the focus isn't just the reward. It's the necessity of the truth.
Meaning, if you'd tried to spin some story about passion instead of need.
He might have just prolonged his unemployment. Avoiding the truth often just delays the inevitable or prevents a real solution.
Okay, so that definition of truth comes up here. The true or actual state of a matter.
Simple, but difficult in practice. Telling the whole truth versus a half-truth, or just saying nothing.
And that choice, that difficulty, is why Dr. Daniels then pivots pretty dramatically.
Yeah, big shift. From a modern job search to ancient Persia.
To the book of Esther, chapter 4, verses 13-17.
Right. Setting the scene in the opulent, dangerous kingdom of King Xerxes.
This guy ruled 127 provinces. Talk about power.
And decadence. The sermon highlights these massive parties like a 150-day festival.
Followed by a 7-day banquet, gold goblets, an open bar policy.
Basically, excess and unpredictability.
And into this world comes Esther. After Queen Vashti is deposed, there's this search for a new queen.
Esther goes through this intense, year-long beauty regimen. 6 months with myrrh, 6 with perfumes.
And crucially, she's Jewish, but she keeps this a secret.
On the advice of her cousin Mordecai.
Right.
That hidden identity is key.
It totally sets up the central conflict, because Mordecai refuses to bow down to Haman.
Haman, the king's powerful, arrogant official.
And Mordecai's refusal, it doesn't just offend Haman, it sends him into this genocidal rage.
He hatches this maniacal genocidal plan, as the sermon puts it.
To destroy all the Jews in Xerxes' entire empire.
And he sells it to the king quite cunningly.
Yeah, he doesn't just say, "I hate these people." He frames it politically.
Calls them a certain race of people with different laws who disobey the king. Makes them sound like a threat.
And even offers 10,000 sacks of silver to cover the costs. It's pure treachery disguised as loyalty.
So Mordecai finds out about this plot. He needs to get word to Esther.
And their communication, it's mentioned, is like text messages. Back and forth, never face-to-face.
Right, sending messages. He tells her she has to go to the king to plead for her people.
But Esther, her first reaction is fear. Understandable fear.
Absolutely. She reminds Mordecai, look, I haven't been summoned by the king in 30 days.
And back then, you couldn't just walk in uninvited.
No. Approaching the king without being called meant certain death.
Unless he held out his golden scepter. Only then would you be spared.
So Esther is facing this impossible choice. Her own safety or comfort versus the survival of her entire people.
It's her life on the line. A huge risk.
And this moment, this crisis, is really the heart of it. The sermon uses it to pivot again.
Right, from the story itself to the lessons we can draw about telling the truth, especially when it's hard.
The three main compulsions or maybe lessons about these difficult conversations.
Okay, let's break those down. The first one. The truth challenges our complacency.
Complacency. That feeling of being comfortable, maybe a bit self-satisfied, often blind to potential danger.
The sermon defines it as being pleased, especially with oneself or one's merits and advantages, often without awareness of some potential danger.
Esther was, perhaps, feeling a little safe in the palace, maybe complacent.
Until Mordecai sends that brutal message.
Yeah. Don't think for a moment that because you're in the palace, you will escape when all other Jews are killed.
Ouch. That cuts right through any illusion of safety.
It forces her to confront the reality that her comfort zone is actually a trap.
And the sermon applies this idea really effectively to relationships, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Relational complacency. It happens all the time.
When couples or friends or family members just stop talking, stop listening.
Yeah, they stop putting in the effort because it's easier in the short term. They settle into an uncomfortable quiet, a status quo.
But there's that hidden danger. The unaddressed issues are festering.
Right. And then, when things finally fall apart, you get that painful question.
Why are you just now telling me this?
Exactly. The discomfort of the truth was avoided, but the underlying problem just grew bigger in the silence.
The sermon also takes this idea of complacency to a societal level.
Yes, historical complacency, particularly around attempts to sanitize or erase difficult parts of history.
Like discussions about racial injustice or oppression in schools.
The argument is often made that the truth hurts or it's uncomfortable.
Which is true. It often is.
But the sermon argues that avoiding that discomfort is a form of complacency. It prioritizes current ease over acknowledging historical reality.
It's like trying to protect ourselves from the pain of the past, but at the cost of understanding.
And the point is made very clearly. Hiding the truth doesn't change what happened. History is history.
Silence doesn't equal safety, and it certainly doesn't lead to healing or resolution.
Which leads directly into the second major lesson.
The truth constrains us to confront the conflict.
Yeah, truth isn't passive. It demands action, or at least acknowledgement. We can choose to ignore it, to suppress it.
But doing so just makes things worse in the long run, right? It prolongs the healing process.
That really resonates with the quote from the Difficult Conversations book authors.
Oh, right. The one about avoiding short-term pain.
Exactly. People often choose to avoid short-term pain, even if it results in long-term pain down the road.
That immediate discomfort of an argument or a tense conversation, we'd rather just sidestep it.
We opt for that fragile, temporary peace. But what happens then?
Delayed resolution, ongoing frustration, erosion of trust, all the things the sermon mentions.
We might engage in silent protests in our heads or drop hints, hoping the other person just gets it.
But that rarely works, does it? Avoidance doesn't actually solve the conflict.
Yeah. Never. But there's an important clarification here. Confronting conflict isn't the same as being argumentative.
Okay, that's a crucial distinction. How so?
It means speaking your truth, sharing your perspective, but, and this is vital, also being willing to genuinely listen to theirs.
So it's not just about winning the argument.
Not at all. And this brings up that really challenging idea mentioned. Just because it's your truth doesn't make it the truth.
Right. My perception isn't necessarily the whole picture.
Exactly. If you go into that difficult conversation assuming your view is the only valid one, you're setting up for a fight, not a dialogue.
The goal should be understanding, maybe finding where the perspectives overlap or differ.
Yes. Sharing your truth while being open to hearing theirs, realizing the full picture, the actual state of the matter, might be a combination of both views.
And speaking of practical ways to handle that confrontation, the sermon included that exercise.
The two chairs exercise. Yes, I thought that was fascinating.
Me too. Explain that again. How does it work?
Okay, so when you're having that difficult conversation, both people sit down.
Right.
And they physically place their hands under their thighs.
Okay, why? What does that do?
It's a physical restraint. It stops you from gesturing wildly, from interrupting impulsively.
So it forces you to just sit and listen.
Exactly. It makes it harder to jump in with your counter-argument before the other person has even finished speaking.
It creates space for someone to actually express their truth without being immediately shut down or corrected.
Mm-hmm. It encourages listening, not just to rebut, but to understand the speaker's heart, their perspective.
That could really change the dynamic, couldn't it? Make conflict feel less like combat.
I think so. It intentionally builds in a pause for listening.
Okay, that's a great practical tool. Which brings us to the third and maybe the toughest lesson.
The truth compels us to choose courage over comfort.
Back to Esther's moment of decision, facing potential death.
She moves past that initial fear, that self-preservation instinct, but not impulsively.
No, she prepares. That's key. She calls for everyone to fast and pray with her for 3 days.
Right. Strategic preparation before taking that massive risk.
And only then does she make that declaration, if I must die, I must die.
It's not fatalism, it's commitment. The truth, the survival of her people is more important than our own comfort, her own life even.
And the sermon really challenges us here, asking, when do we ever prepare for difficult conversations like that?
Yeah, instead of just wading in hot, right?
Mm.
Emotionally charged, maybe defensive, totally unprepared.
Praying or fasting beforehand, that's intense preparation. It shows you understand the weight of the situation.
It's framing courage as intentional action, not just recklessness. It's recognizing the stakes.
And recognizing that sometimes the truth isn't just about us.
Exactly. It might be about the health of a vital relationship, or achieving justice for others, or pushing for needed societal change. Bigger picture stuff.
Like Derek, getting his job was important for him, but Esther's situation had far wider consequences.
Mm-hmm. And the sermon really hammers this home. Choosing comfort, choosing avoidance, choosing complacency, it just doesn't work.
It will never bring the change or the real lasting peace we actually want.
The temporary relief of avoiding conflict just guarantees a bigger problem later.
And that final historical challenge is powerful too.
Yeah, asking us to imagine, where would we be if figures in the civil rights movement chose comfort?
Or if Jesus Christ had chosen comfort and avoidance over courage and truth.
Puts our own discomfort into perspective, doesn't it?
It really does. So, wrapping this all up, the sermon gives us these 3 core reasons why we often hold back the truth.
Right. We're complacent in our current situation.
Or we're trying to avoid that short-term conflict.
Or maybe we just lack the courage to face potential consequences.
And the way forward involves preparation, intention,
And that commitment to listen, maybe even using a tool like the 2 chairs.
aiming for understanding, not necessarily agreement.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So even if you end up agreeing to disagree, you can part ways knowing you truly heard each other. There's clarity.
Go in peace, be blessed, and may the joy of Jesus be yours. We'll see you next week.